Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back. I always get so much insight every time we have her on, and that is insight about our animals. She's an animal communicator. She's a medium. She can connect. It's amazing. I've seen her do it. She's got books, CDs. She can show you how it's done. She can connect with your animals as well. We're going to change it up a little bit today. And this is going in a totally different direction. We've established that you can have communication with your animal. What about the insect world? I'm intrigued. I just can't wait to dig into this. Shirley Scott is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and I've learned so much from you in communicating with my dog and my cats, and I really feel that I have, because of you, a better relationship with them. I feel that we are connected. Like, they just know what I'm thinking. I know what they're thinking, and I've tested it, and it's legit. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
like crazy or anything. Insects, though, this is whole different territory. I didn't even think it was possible that this could take place.
Yes. Insects, some have a very short lifespan of hours, and, some have, a season. But they are intelligent beings, and they are, many times we don't think that, like a bee will find a source of pollen, and they literally the next morning after they come out of their hive will go back to that same place at the same time to make sure that there isn't anything left for them to eat. They're very connected. Bald-faced hornets, if they sting you, they take part of your DNA. They actually take a bite out of you and put poison into you. And they will take part of your flesh back to the hive, and the hive actually then can pick you out of a crowd of 200 people if you're in a park, and they will come get you again. So they're highly intelligent, many of the insect species. And to send them messages, you can actually do it, and they will get it. I am deathly, my allergies to bees are, deadly. And so when I go out in the summer, I will just say to any of the yellow jackets, because in the woods we have a lot of yellow jackets, I just say to them, I love you, and I mean you no harm, and you can leave me alone. And they will. You can do it to spiders. I tell the spiders that if they don't go outside from where they came, they're going to die. And they go. So it's a matter of giving even insects this energy. Now, there are insects that are programmed in their DNA to, to sting or to bite, even like mosquitoes. The way they live is through blood. You can ask them not to inject poison into you if they have to bite you, and you don't actually get like a bite like it itches. So even mosquitoes can understand. And I've tried it. I've done it. The first time I actually really acknowledged it, I was at somebody's house, and a yellow jacket had flown in the door when I stepped in, and she said, "Oh my God, there's a yellow jacket." And I said, "Leave the door open," and it kind of flew around the room, and I said, "Okay, now you need to leave." And it was really funny because it had kind of flown around and was trying things, and the minute I said, "You need to leave," it went right for the door and it left. And she just looked at me, and I looked at her like, "Okay, this can be done."
Wow. And that's what I was thinking when we figured out what we were going to talk about today. That's really where I was going, where there's a spider in your home. You don't want to step on it. You want to crush it. I want it to go outside, or you got a fly flying around, or even a bee that is in your area, and you just want it to go. Be free, go. in that situation, what do you do where you don't want to harm it, but you don't want it to harm you?
You tell it that you mean it no harm, and it needs to go back outside if it's in that, inside. And, if you can kind of point it to the door or the window and say, that's where you need to go. Insects have really good eyesight, most of them. And so they will kind of follow the finger and out the door they'll go. But to panic puts them then in a panic, just like any animal, that is, if you are in a panic around an animal, you're going to put them in a panic because they're going to feel that panic or that fear. And an insect is the same. I mean, it's absolutely the same. And, even like snakes. One day I had a snake in my house. I don't know where it came from. It was a baby snake. I looked in the bathroom and went, what the heck? And, I have cats in the house. So I looked at it and I said, you need to go back from where you came or you're going to die. And I've never seen it since. Don't know where it went. Don't know how it got in. Don't know how it left. But I have not seen it since. But insects and talking to them is mainly through telepathy, because insects do not really understand words like animals can get to understand. So this is more of your telepathy, your thinking, your energy work through communication than it is words, because insects don't get words.
They pick up the vibration, and I'm thinking too, which is what you said, you got the bee flying around. Gosh forbid if you're allergic, you're in freak mode. So it's picking up on your freak mode, and it can maybe freak out, and that's where you probably get stung.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if you're allergic to them, you have to be very calm and say, I'm not going to bother you. You don't bother me. We'll be fine. And not put out that fear, because insects have a really good sense of smell and a really good sense of what is going on around them. I mean, they have to, because, they get eaten all the time. And they feel that fear. So talking to insects, and you can talk to you can talk to spiders and flies and bees and, even, you go to caterpillars and butterflies. And a lot of times butterflies, if you hold out your hand, will land on your hand and show no fear if you don't show any fear.
I believe that, and I've done that. I go into sometimes it's a couple of places around me that they have a butterfly farm exhibit, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And I just remain calm and relaxed and just put my hand out. And if you just wait, I think I truly, truly believe in everything you're saying, that they're picking up on the vibration that you're sending out.
Absolutely. And we have to remember that our hands to any other species, well, even to humans sometimes, but our hands are deadly force units. I mean, most animals look at our hands as something that they need to fear because it's coming at them, or, it's a big thing for them. So we have to use our hands in really calm, loving ways so that the animal kingdom, whether it's insect or not, will not see our hands as some type of weapons flying around to get them. If you start swatting around a bee to get away from you, that's going to increase the fact that they're going to come at you because they're looking like you're attacking them now.
So let's come up with a couple of different scenarios where you might encounter an insect and you want the best result. And I truly believe we don't want to kill insects.
No.
I don't know anybody that, I'm just going to squash it. No, they would prefer not to. But of course, sometimes we get triggered. We get afraid, spider on the wall. All right, let's go there. So bedroom, spider, it's on the wall. Now, you don't want the spider, if you're afraid of them, going behind something or getting out of your view, and now you're going to sleep there wondering. and by the way, there's a stat out there that says that you are always within 8 feet of a spider, no matter what.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. True.
What do? Spiders on the wall. How do you handle it?
You tell them, and a threat to a spider is, believe me, they understand it. I've done it. You tell them to go back to where they came from, or you will kill them. And they go, oh. And most of them will go back, and they will go into a nook or cranny where they came from, and they don't come back. Most of them, in what I have done that. I kind of have a contract with spiders because I don't like spiders because I have great blood, and anything that bites will bite me. And I tell them they stay out of my house, and they live. And they stay out of my house. Of course, my cats get most of them, but I don't usually have spiders in my house at all that I can see. And if you can't see them, there's no fear of them, and they are not fear of you either. So you can live 8 feet from them and be okay. But if they don't go, and you tell them a couple times, if you're really scared of them, somebody's probably going to kill them. Or I know somebody who will tell them, I'm getting a jar, and I'm going to scoop you into this jar, and then they take them outside. But most of the time, in my experience, spiders will listen.
Okay, so let's go on the spider thing, because I hear it all the time from friends. Let's be honest, a lot of women are afraid of spiders. I have lots of women who are friends.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've even gone to some houses and gotten the spider. You don't want it to go back to where it was, because now you know you have a spider. So is there any way to tell it, listen, I just want to grab you. I'm sorry you're not going home. I need you out of this room, to send that message and then put it maybe outside or someplace that's not so threatening.
Tell them. You can tell them, I am going to scoop you into this jar or, whatever you have, and then I'm going to take you and put you outside. And you tell them that. And most of the time, they will just stay still and scoop them up, and they would rather be outside anyway. Most spiders would rather be outside because they know that that's where they can eat. A spider inside a lot of times dies in its own web because it doesn't get any flies or any food or anything. So they would much rather be outside. So if you can say to them in a very calm way, okay, stay where you are, I'm going to scoop you up, I'm not going to hurt you, and I'm going to take you outside, they will usually do that.
Amazing. How about some other examples of how we can communicate to insects for the best outcome for all?
The best outcome for all is two things. First of all, don't panic and put out love to them because they understand that. But try to understand their territory and what they have to do to defend it and or live, and kind of honor that. But also let them know that you're not gonna hurt them. You're not gonna come into their territory. There are some insects, like I say, that in their DNA, and I'm going to say yellow jackets. I've always had this thing. Yellow jackets are kind of nasty little critters, and you can talk to them. And sometimes they just go, I get this message like, I'm just going to sting you anyway, because that's what is in their DNA. So we have to honor that. But if you can also put out that, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to be here and do that, then usually you will not get stung at all. A lot of beekeepers with honeybees, because they love their hives and they love their honeybees, very few actually get stung even when they're getting honey from them.
Say that one more time.
Beekeepers, when they are gathering their honey, very few of them actually get stung.
Right.
And a honeybee, I mean, a wasp and a yellow jacket can sting you many, many, many times, where a honeybee, once they sting you, they're dead. Because when the stinger comes out, part of their intestines come out with it, and it kills them. They die.
Right.
So they don't want to sting, but beekeepers can go into hives and with this loving energy, and I'm not going to hurt you, and they can scrape some of the bees off, and not very often do they get stung. I have some clients who are beekeepers, and they love their honeybees, and their honeybees don't bother them. They've had honeybees. Well, I used to, when I was little, have the big black and yellow bumblebees.
Say it again. The what?
The bumblebees, the big black and yellow bumblebees.
Yeah.
I used to have them walk up and down my arms all the time. My mom freaked out. But I was just a young kid, and I was like, "Oh, I love you. Look at you. Aren't you cool?" And mom would come outside and see these bumblebees walking up and down my arms. But they never bothered me, and so it's a matter of that they get this love, they get this understanding.
Bumblebees to me are less threatening, and I don't know why it is. Maybe, I don't know. They just seem like they're just doing their job and just leave them alone. And are there any insects that are easier to communicate, like more receptive?
Ants are very receptive. I have got ants out of my kitchen just by telling them they're going to die. They got 24 hours or they're going to die in my kitchen because I'm not going to have them in my kitchen. They're invading it. And the little sugar ants, and 99% of the time within 24 hours, they're gone. And every ant is just gone. So, and outside, too. Ants are very receptive to this. Butterflies, caterpillars, they're very receptive to this. There are some beetles, bigger beetles, that are receptive to it. Stink bugs are not. Stink bugs don't care. Stink bugs just go where they want to go and do what they want to do. They don't care.
I kind of get that feeling.
Yeah. And I think sometimes the bigger they are, sometimes the better they understand, except for ants. I have had great success with ants, inside, outside. I just tell them they need to go, and they go.
Okay, when you say they, all right, so a lot of times you have a it could
colony.
Thank you. So are they all going to, collectively pick up on what you're putting out?
Yes.
Or is it one or two are getting it, and then the rest are, okay, yeah, we'll just follow that one?
Well, most of the time it's a collective, because a lot of insects, they live in the collective unity of their colony. It's like humans live in a human consciousness. Dogs live in a dog consciousness. And so each insect, little pod of whatever they are, live in their consciousness. Sugar ants will live in a different ant consciousness than carpenter ants, but there's still an ant consciousness about them that they will, if one gets it, it just kind of goes, sort of like sheep, they'll follow each other, but they feel this consciousness. It's like humans right now. Most humans in the world are living in fear, because there's a human consciousness fear of what's going on in the world. And so we're all feeling that. So that's what will happen with a lot of these little groups of insects.
So we're talking about insects. I don't believe we've ever talked about reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
Or we talking, same kind of situation there?
Yeah, reptiles are highly intelligent, most of them. Very intelligent. And reptiles, you have to really honor what their DNA tells them. I mean, I've held crocodiles. I've talked to crocodiles. And most of them, are okay until they get hungry. And then you could lose an arm or a leg because that's just what they're going to do. But bearded dragons, they are highly intelligent. They get animal communication to a T, and they can become very good pets. Bearded dragons. Some of the little lizards. When I was in Mexico one time on a retreat, I was sleeping outside in a hammock, and I had so much fun talking to the geckos. Because at night the geckos would come down and they would, eat the mosquitoes and the night bugs and stuff. And I would ask them to, please keep me safe and stuff. And I had geckos, on my hand and stuff, wild geckos, and they were so much fun. But they understood. They they just knew, and that I wasn't going to hurt them, and that I wanted their help. And they were there every night. They were there. I had I think probably 12 of them or something. But so lizards are very, very intelligent. Kimono dragons, you have to stay away from them because their DNA is to kill. They're not very friendly at all, and their saliva is highly poisonous too. If you get saliva on you, you could die. So you have to go with the DNA of that species. But yeah, lizards are really highly intelligent.
I want to go back to what you said before about, I believe it was something that stings you and takes your DNA back to the colony. What the heck's going on there?
Okay, bold-faced hornets. We have a thing out here in the Pacific Northwest called bold-faced hornets, and they are a black and white hornet, and their face, if you looked at it, kind of looks like a pug, like it was pulled out and smashed in. Okay, and their head is very hard. You can hit them with a shovel and they bounce off. I mean, it doesn't kill them. And they are highly intelligent. And in their hive, they're very, very poisonous, actually, for a bee sting. I mean, if another one stings me, I've had 2 stings, and one of them was my fault. But excuse me, if they bite you, they inject this poison, and they take your skin and your blood, actually part of it, back to their hive. And until that hive dies out over winter, if you are around and you can be in a crowd of 200 people, they will pick you out. Any of those bees in the hive that have gotten in touch with your skin or your blood, they will literally pick you out. They're highly intelligent wasps, and they're mean. Their DNA is mean, and you can talk to them, but they may listen or they may not.
Wow, if there's so much going on here that we don't even realize. In the insect world, the reptile world, but the bottom line is communication is possible. And I'm going to share this with my son, who has a snake, and he's had it for a couple of years.
What kind of snake does he have?
He's away at college, so I don't know.
Yeah.
What
okay.
It's about 2 years old. But I'm gonna share with him to communicate with it.
Yeah. Snakes are great to communicate with. One of my clients one time had a corn snake, and she raised it from a baby, and boy, they really communicated.
Interesting.
And snakes are kind of picky about their owners, and because snakes, their tongue, they smell, and they like your smell or they don't, but they also like your body heat. If you don't have enough body heat, they're not going to be what I would consider a cuddly snake. The first snake I ever really did in person was years ago, and this gal walked into a shop that I owned at the time, and she had this python around her neck, and its name was Monty, of all things, Monty Python. And she said to me, it doesn't seem to like me right now, and I can't figure out why. She said, I've had it, I think she'd had it about 6 months, and she said, all of a sudden, it's like mean, it wants to bite me, and I said to her, it's starting to shed its skin, and it can't see. And she was like, what? And he said, it's starting to shed. And within a couple of days, she called me back, and she said, oh, my God, you're right. It is shedding its skin. But it couldn't see, and sometimes that happens when snakes are shedding their skin. They become very vulnerable because the shedding goes over their eyes, and until they can get that off, they can't really see well. So once the snake had shed its skin, it was back to wanting to be around her neck and, everything else. So, yeah.
I wish I knew a lot of this back in the day because I had a rabbit, and it was a bunny turned into a rabbit and became nasty and mean. And I bet if I was intentional about finding out what's going on, that maybe it wouldn't have been. And eventually, I found a family for it because it just didn't work. For my situation at that time. But I'm sure I would have gotten some answers either with your help or just using the skills that you've shared. Would have probably knew what was going on.
Probably would have. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Just getting in touch with it probably would have told you. And that's why an animal communicator is so important. It's to get in touch with those animals and tell the human, this is what's going on. And then both the animal and the human can work together to right that wrong or help them through what they're going through, because many humans do not think about what a species goes through. Like right now, my goat's starting to shed. He's getting rid of his winter coat, and he's a little bit touchy about, wanting to be scratched or anything else. He loves to be brushed because that coat's coming out. But as far as really touching him and stuff, his skin is sensitive. So we have to watch what we do around Tigger and honor the fact that he's shedding right now. Yeah.
And we don't think of those things. We don't think. We all go through changes. So do animals. And
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It is fascinating talking with you. You have not just the communication side of you, which you've been doing for decades, multiple decades, but just the insight on the wild world, if you will, the animal world, the insect world. It's fascinating. I always love talking with you, Shirley. I really do.
Thanks, Steve.
It's so cool. Shirley-Scott.com. That's 2 T's on the Scott. Shirley-Scott.com. If you want to learn more, find out about some of the books and CDs you have, it's all there on the website. Thank you so much again for being here today.
You're so welcome, Steve. We'll talk soon.
You got it. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.